Good evening, everybody. This is Pawan Agrawal from InvestGuru. Today we are meeting on a regular working day. Reason being that we thought that this is a very appropriate time to connect with our investors. जैसा कि हम देख रहे हैं लास्ट वन एंड हाफ मंथ्स में मार्केट में काफ़ी करेक्शन हुआ है. वैल्यूज हमारे पोर्टफोलियोज में भी, म्यूचुअल फंड पोर्टफोलियोज में भी करेक्ट हुई हैं. And then there are a lot of news about international geopolitical wars, oil price, interest rate, inflation. मतलब काफ़ी सारे इश्यूज हैं जिसके बारे में मीडिया में अलग अलग तरह की चर्चा होती है. And because there were a lot of queries from our investors regarding this कि how these things are going to pan out, इनसे हमारे इन्वेस्टमेंट्स पे शॉर्ट टर्म या लॉन्ग टर्म में क्या फ़र्क पड़ेगा, and is it the right time to actually invest the money, or should we take out some money, or should we put the money slightly later on. मतलब यदि कोई इन्वेस्ट करना चाहता है तो क्या, और उसके पास यदि फंड्स अवेलेबल हैं तो क्या ये ठीक टाइम है, या हम थोड़ा और वेट करें मार्केट गिरने का उसके बाद इन्वेस्ट करें. So keeping all these queries in mind, we thought that this is a very appropriate time to have this session. And here we are. So we have investors in this call. We have our team members and our associate, Mr. Pallav, who is also there in this call. So I'll just, this presentation won't be long. It is a short presentation. It has hardly 2-3 slides only. And I would like to share my views within those 2-3 slides itself. I'll just share the screen for the presentation. So currently, as we look at the equity markets, in September around 4th, the BSE Sensex touched all-time high of 62,000, and since then there were ups and downs. From 62 it came down to 56 2-3 times between October and December, and from January continuously it is going down, and currently as of today when we speak it is somewhere around 52,900 800 or so. So from its peak it has almost corrected 9,000 point plus, which is around 14% to say. तो इतना मार्केट में करेक्शन ऑलरेडी हो चुका है. एंड the point is that there are multiple issues playing out which are which have created this correction in the market. So if we look at the issues that are there, so first, as we probably already are aware that there is a geopolitical issue between Ukraine and Russia which is going on. I am not upfront, I will tell, I am not an expert on these geopolitical issues. I have very, very limited knowledge, maybe lesser than what you people have on this subject. But the main crux of this issue is that Russia, which used to be a superpower till 90s, lost the status of superpower, and in that period, in last 20 years, Putin, their president, has tried to build up the country again as a superpower. And when Russia actually got divided into multiple countries, Putin and his family was not in favor of, they were not supportive of that breakup of USSR. And for last 20 years also, Putin is building Russia as a, again, he's trying to create Russia as a power. And in last 10 years also, he has tried several things. I mean, I'm again not an expert, but what I have read, he has tried several things to show the world that they are getting powerful. He is also apprehensive of the fact that जो Western countries है, which are like European and especially American, US as a country, they are trying to force their forces, or they are trying to influence the region which is near to Russia. So So all in all, with whatever limited understanding I have, Russia is trying to, number one, safeguard itself from the Western forces, and also it is trying to showcase its power, or trying to say that we are again a superpower. So it's a conflict of not only of Russia and Ukraine, but it is actually a broader conflict. Ukraine is only a piece of that conflict. So when it will resolve, how it will resolve, we do not have any idea. But the query that comes, ki, again, there will be a world war, and that world war can continue for many years. That we really don't see happening, because the world is not like 1942, 1941, where there were very limited powers, and now a lot of countries are dependent on each other basically. And if any country, or say 2-3 countries, decide that they will remain stayed away from the world, it is not possible for them also to survive. So if Russia keeps on, say, waging a world war kind of situation, so Russia ka jo main income hai, that is oil and commodities, other commodities, metal and oil. And if the world finds another option of oil and commodities, then from where will the Russia earn, for its people? So ultimately, these wars now, to think that any war can continue and it can become a global scale, that looks. The question is that, can that happen? Obviously, anything can happen in the world, but whether it will happen, and if it happens, whether it will continue, that seems slightly a distant possibility, because ultimately countries will come to some kind of agreement. Once Russia has been able to let the world know that yes, we are powerful, and मतलब West की ही नहीं चलेगी, we are also a force. Once they are able to establish that, then I think the peace talks may begin, or this thing may ultimately end. Whether Ukraine will remain a separate country, or whether it will go to Russia, all these things we don't know. I don't think anybody knows right now. So rather than commenting on that, the main point is that whatever the situation is, it may take 1 month, it may take 3 months, it may take 1 year, but ultimately it is going to resolve. Because of this situation, even before that, oil price were already increasing. They remained in the region of $60 and $70 per barrel. And oil price is a genuine problem for a country like India, because we import 75-80% of the oil. And if the oil prices go up, then definitely the other costs go up, the transportation costs go up, and the inflation comes back. So high oil price because of high imports is a issue for us, because our foreign reserves spending also increases, and because of high cost and inflation, even the fiscal deficit may go up ultimately, may not be in short term, but ultimately it may go up. And even the current account deficit, which is the difference between the foreign currency inflow and outflow, which has been very conducive for last 2 years or so, again current account deficit may increase. Now current account deficit का increase का मतलब है कि interest rate बढ़ने के chances होते हैं, because if first of all your currency will depreciate, तो जो पहले डॉलर 73-74 रुपीस का भी पिछले 6 महीने से चल रहा था, now it has crossed 75, it is around 76. So currency depreciation आपके imports को और costly बना देता है. So if there is a current account deficit, your currency gets depreciated, fiscal deficits come under pressure, the interest rate increase. So oil price का increase होना हमेशा हमारे लिए एक short medium term challenge बनता है, historically भी बना है, and this time also it can become like that. Inflation is already increasing, food inflation is high, and especially the commodity inflation, which has food also to some extent. Some food is considered as a commodity, but otherwise in commodity you have metals, you have oil, and that is getting inflated across the world. पहले ही वो inflation शुरू हो गया था, and with this geopolitical issue that has further inflated, the business people who are into metal trade and all, they are not ready to sell right now because they think when the prices will go up, then we will sell. So the supply has become an issue, and whatever supply is already available, even that is not coming to the market in the anticipation कि जब price और high जाएगा तब हम बेचेंगे. So inflation is definitely increasing not only in India but across the world. And when the inflation will increase, the most easy way to the central banks like RBI or US Fed is to increase the rates and slightly reduce the liquidity also in the market. कि liquidity होगी कम होगी, लोग कम spend करेंगे, तो inflation फिर कम होगा क्योंकि demand कम होगी, supply कम है, demand लेकिन अभी ज़्यादा है, demand कम होगी, तो फिर inflation कम होना चाहिए, because if the demand goes away, then कम supply भी उस कम demand को cater कर पाएगी. So interest rates are increasing. जो 10-year government bond 1 year ago 5.9% का होता था, that is 6.8% now. And what individually as an investors you will see is that there is not of the FD rate in banks has not increased if you see, but if you see the FD rates in NBFCs, जो नॉन बैंकिंग फाइनेंशियल कंपनीज है, उनमें 0.25% या 0.1%, 0.25, 0.3% पिछले 3-4 महीने पहले उन्होंने इंक्रीज किया. तो जो पहले एफडी कॉर्पोरेट से बजाज फाइनेंस की 6.1 की थी, that became 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. So banks, because they are having liquidity, they have not increased the rates, but NBFCs in some pockets have increased the rates in last 2 months also. So interest rate is has inched slightly up. Inflation has inched from 4.55, which was 1.5 years back. Today it is 6 plus as per the government, and actually it will be much higher also. So all these issues are not, I would say, they are not like simple issues, and these issues are not which impact the market only for 1 month or 3 months. These are issues which sometimes remain for 6 months also, and they sometimes remain for 1 year also, and over the period only they get resolved. कि जब RBI liquidity कम करेगा तो interest rate थोड़ा बढ़ेगा, तो थोड़ी demand कम हो जाएगी, तो थोड़ा inflation कम हो जाएगा. जब inflation कम होगा तो जो central banks हैं वो फिर rate को नहीं बढ़ाएंगे, तो उससे थोड़ा conducive हो जाता है environment कि अब rate यदि नहीं बढ़ेगा तो people adjust their business plans and their cost of capital accordingly. So एक बार जब वो stabilize हो जाती है situation, then the things start looking favorable. Till the time, whether it is interest rate or whether it is oil price or whether it is commodity price, till the time it remains unstable, it remains volatile, till that time market reacts to all these news negatively. So in this entire negative news scenario, the question comes कि ये तो ठीक है अभी, this is the scenario, but then what are we supposed to do as investors? So because world is very big, very complex, these things or similar kind of things keep on happening. So we as InvestGuru are very focused on another aspect of investing and not on these issues, because these issues keep on coming, and also we are not exactly aware ki how long they will continue and to what degree they will impact. So what we try to follow and what we would suggest and request all the investors to understand is this particular slide to understand how the events play out, and then one more slide, and then we will finish the presentation. In past also, we have had events like the most recent event that happened, a big event, that adverse event happened was COVID. And I have put the date. If you can see, there's a start date that around which date the world started recognizing. So the dates may be somewhat here or there, but they represent a certain time frame कि उस डेट के अराउंड जो चीज है वो रिकॉग्नाइज होनी वर्ल्ड में शुरू हुई थी. सो इफ आई टेक 1 February 2020 एज द कोविड स्टार्ट डेट, जब थोड़ा थोड़ा रिकॉग्निशन होना शुरू हुआ, and the issue peaked on 23rd March 2020. And what happened to the market 1 year later, which is like 23rd March 2021? So if we look at the Sensex value, what the values are given below the date are the Sensex values. कि 1 February 2020 को Sensex value 39,735 थी. जब पीक प्रॉब्लम का पीक था तब 23rd मार्च को जो मार्केट सबसे ज्यादा गिरा हुआ था, दैट वाज 25,981. और एक साल बाद जो पीक मार्केट गिरा था, या पीक इशू हुआ था, नॉट मार्केट गिरा था, बट जब पीक प्रॉब्लम हुई थी उसके 23rd मार्च के बाद अगले साल विच इज 2021, मार्केट वाज 50,000. सो इफ आई कंपेयर द स्टार्ट डेट ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम जब मार्केट 39,700 था, and if I compare it with 1 year later after the peak problem appeared, actually the market gained 20.6% in that period. Now we can say this is one-off case. If we go to say US-China issue, some investors and our team members may recall US-China trade war itself became a very big issue, and there were a lot of sanctions from both the countries, and again the supply side disruption was happening at that time. अभी वो शायद हमें याद नहीं आएगा, but at that time China trade war itself became a big issue at that time. So if we look at that, when US China exactly became a, जब US ने sanctions China पे लगाने शुरू किए, it started in July 2018, 1st July 2018. Market was at 35,000. Then 24th September 2018, मतलब करीबन 3 महीने बाद तक ये इशू कंटिन्यू करता रहा. And 24th September was when US and China actually first time thought, मतलब accepted that they need to sit together to solve their issues. तो मतलब जो पीक प्रॉब्लम थी उनके बातचीत करने से पहले तक थी, तब तक मार्केट 35,200 का 36,200 था. And after 1 year, actually the market went to 39,000. So again, from the start date of 1st July 2018 till 24th September 2019, the market actually gained 9.8%. And around that time, when this was happening, even Brexit issue was happening on a large scale. The news has started coming. तो 15th January 2019 को फर्स्ट टाइम ब्रेक्सिट का जो उनका जो बिल था वो टेबल हुआ था इसमें पार्लियामेंट में यूके में. एंड इट टुक 1 year actually when it was finally passed after lot of deliberations and voting and re-voting. It took almost 1 year. 28th December 2019 को that bill got passed. Now, not everybody will remember, but you can check that out. It's very easy to check on internet. The Sensex on 15 January 2019 was 36,000, and in December 2019, during this entire Brexit event, it went to 41,600. And after 1 year of this 2019 date, when this issue actually peaked, जब हल्ला मच गया था कि ना हो तो यूके अब अलग हो जाएगा और वर्ल्ड में डिस्ट्रप्शन आ जाएगा, बिकॉज यूके इज अ मेजर फोर्स एंड इट इज सप्लाई टू मेनी थिंग्स. उसके एक साल बाद मार्केट एक्चुअली वेंट फ्रॉम 41 to 45,500. एंड फ्रॉम द टाइम व्हेन ब्रेक्सिट इशू स्टार्टेड, फ्रॉम स्टार्टिंग का मतलब ये है कि व्हेन एवरीबडी केम टू नो दैट देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड ब्रेक्सिट हैपनिंग, वो 36,000 से 45,000 चला गया. And the market actually gained 20% in that 1 year. So why I'm giving you these examples is that every time there is an event, it looks as if this event is happening for the first time. And because it is happening for the first time, then it means it has to be a serious event. So please understand, there are more than 220 countries in the world, and every country will have its own pluses and minuses. There are some which will try to show power. There will be some which will like to exit from a union. There will be some who would like to get merged in a particular country. All these things keep on happening. but the system doesn't collapse. Actually, it just keeps on. COVID was a one-off event. Say it happened 100 years ago, so we can't say that this is an event which will happen every year. US China again, a trade war between two major countries. It was not seen earlier. Between the two biggest countries in terms of trade, there will be a trade war. It was not seen. I mean, I don't know if it happened in some 200-300 years ago, but in last 50-70 years, nobody has seen that kind of trade war. Brexit kind of thing, when a major country is actually getting away from a larger part or a larger union. Again, that was one of event. I don't really know or remember that if somebody knows about this kind of event in last 30, 40, 50 years or so. So all these things, when they happen, because the investor age is like 30, 50, 60, मतलब हमारी जितनी उम्र है उससे पहले यदि कोई इवेंट हुआ है तो ऑब्वियसली हमारे लिए वो उतना रेलेवेंट नहीं है. आज यदि वही इवेंट होता है तो हमें वो बहुत बड़ा और फर्स्ट टाइम लगेगा. बट in the world, these events keep on happening. So we cannot, as an investor, plan our investments as per the events, because once the US, this Ukraine and Russia thing will get over, we don't know in 2022 or 23 or 24 there will be another issue, which will happen for the first time, and we will come to know only at then that this is also happening. So we should not worry about the events. And the market recognizes the events in a short frame में वो गिर सकता है, but over the period that event is not something which will define the market, because market is made of many more components. So the point comes is that how do we see that at which part of the market or which level of the market is conducive to us? So to explain that, I'll come to this slide. This is a proprietary market valuations model created by InvestGuru. We have discussed this model earlier also into our calls, and I will again re-emphasize on this model. What the model tells us is that what is the right value or the fair value of the market at any given point of time in any given financial year. Why we choose a market valuation model is that events will keep on happening. They are happening for last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, but the market doesn't recognizes the events over a longer period of time. एक महीने में, 3 महीने में, 6 महीने में market definitely recognize करता है event को, but it doesn't recognize event over the period, and that we have already seen in the previous slide. Now, what does this market valuation slide tells us is that currently it tells the value of BSE Sensex, BSE Mid Cap and BSE Small Cap. करंट का मतलब आज जो 3:07 पे जो वैल्यू थी वो मैंने डाली हुई है इसके अंदर. मार्केट अब आज जो क्लोज हुआ है वो इससे थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट हुआ है, बट इट इज मार्जिनली डिफरेंट. इट इज नॉट वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम वेयर इट हैज क्लोज्ड. So for our understanding purpose, we can take these values. तो BSE Sensex की current value 52,788 थी उस टाइम पर, and our March fair value, March 22 की fair value is 48,770. So if there is one question that comes कि market कहाँ तक गिर सकता है, वैसे तो market कहीं तक भी गिर सकता है, but we believe that 48,770 should be the bottom of the market. In very extraordinary circumstance like COVID, where the entire world came to a standstill. अभी when Russia Ukraine is happening, हमारे यहाँ की फैक्ट्रीज बंद नहीं हुई हैं, किसी भी कंट्री में फैक्ट्री बंद नहीं हुई है, या ट्रांसपोर्टेशन रुक नहीं गया है, या लोगों ने वैकेशन करना बंद नहीं कर दिया है. सो कोविड के टाइम पे तो पूरा वर्ल्ड ही लॉकडाउन में था, बट करेंटली दैट इज नॉट द केस. सो इफ देयर इज समथिंग एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी दैट हैपेंस, then I don't know, but in terms of fair value, we feel that 48,770, something around that. It is not a fixed number. It may be 49,000 also. It may be 48,600 also. But somewhere around, this is the fair value of the Sensex. And historically, we have seen that market doesn't close on 31st March below the fair value of the Sensex as per our grade. So in last 40 years, there have been only actually 2 years when the market has closed below this fair value. One was 2020 and one was 2003, which was like 19 years ago, after that World Trade Tower debacle accident, terrorist attack. After that, when the world got into depression, at that time, 2003, the market closed below the fair value. But apart from these 2 years, in none of the year the market has closed below the fair value. So from that historical data, I can, with some confidence, I can say that we don't see that market should be going below this. If it goes below this, in case, then it means that it is getting very, really very attractive. The fair value for March 23, 24, 25 are 56,000, 64,000 and 73,000 for the Sensex. And below the Sensex value, we have put that how much gain or loss we can assume till 31st March of those years. So if I take 31st March 2025, we expect that BSE Sensex should be able to deliver 40% absolute return. So this answers the question of investors that whether it is the right time to invest. If we are investing only for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, then I can say that, this may not be a very good time or the best time. But if we are investing for 2-3 years, so any equity investment ideally itself is for 3-5 years plus actually. So even if I consider 3 years right now, till March 25, even if I make say 40% absolute return in BSE Sensex, this 40% means around 13% CAGR or 12.5% per annum return. It is not bad actually. It is a very good return. And also looking at that, what the fixed income is giving to us. So normally the equity return that is expected over 5 years is around 14%, 15%, 13, anywhere around that. So a 3-year return, what we see from here, maybe around 12-13%. And again, if we go to 55-year investment, then again our return could be anywhere above 13, which may be 14 also, maybe 14.5. So that return we can expect. So can the market go down from here? Yes, it can go down because our fair value says it is 49,000 around. So it can definitely go down from here. But the point is that even if I invest some money at 52,000, will I be able to make a good return in next 3 years? Yes, we believe so that if if something doesn't get out of control, which we don't know, but in normal circumstances, markets are able to generate this kind of return. They have done in the past, and we don't see any reason. At least the current conflict, we don't think that it can continue for that much period, and it can take that shape where the entire investments go haywire. Because if we consider the worst, if the world war is there, if it continues for 5 years, if all the countries are involved into that, then we don't know even any kind of investment will be able to help us in that case. So keeping that in mind, if we have a 3-year plus horizon, we feel that 12-13% kind of return is possible. And if things become better faster, then obviously a higher return is expected. But this is something which we can expect. One question which is there is that whether it is the time to invest in large cap, mid cap, small cap. So if we look at the BSE mid cap values, and if we look at the in March 25, if I directly go to March 25, if I look at the return that we expect is again around 39% from mid cap in 3 years, which is equal to large cap. So again, it is equally placed if you ask us. And then BSE small cap, we see 30% return till to March 2025. So small cap slightly in terms of valuation is on a higher side as compared to the large cap or mid cap. But one factor I would like to mention here is that here we are taking the index value, and when we are investing in the mutual funds in small cap category, they are able to generate more than actually 5% alpha over the period of time. So they are able to generate alpha between 5 to 8% per annum So if we only look from the index perspective, if somebody is investing only in the index funds or ETFs, then small cap are not that favorable right now. But if we look at the alpha generation of small caps over the index, then in that case, the small caps become as good as large caps or mid caps. So if we look at the current valuation, then large and mid cap actually should have an allocation of say around 60-70%, and 20% still we can put to small cap, because if the conflict resolves uh, earlier, or if there is some kind of downside that happens, then small cap itself becomes very attractive in comparison to large and mid. So in isolation, is the small cap at the best valuation category? No. But does it, at the current valuation over the next 3 to 5 years, can it deliver better returns than large and mid caps? Yes. So depending upon one's time horizon and one's own risk appetite or understanding of the market of the portfolio, investors can allocate their money in primarily large and mid. So large and mid or multi or flexi, these are the good categories to invest in for these two categories. And some allocation can be done, because in small caps, lot of companies stock prices have actually corrected by 30 to 50%. So even the mutual funds in small cap category are having very good opportunity to invest in very good companies at reasonable prices. So keeping the portfolios in mind, and especially after doing research on the various schemes, mutual funds, we are confident that a reasonable return can be made from small caps as well. But currently, they don't warrant that kind of over investment. Like more investment should go to flexi multi large cap sites, and some investment can go to small cap category also. So for us as InvestGuru, our guiding mantra for even our investors is actually this valuation matrix. And wherever we feel the value in the matrix at any given point of time, there the allocation is suggested more. So if all the investors see wherever the investments are happening for last few months, like in 2020, we were very 2020 and some part of 21, we were doing major allocation in small caps. And since November, we are doing around 20-25% of the allocation in small caps, which was actually even 50% before June or before March 2021. So wherever we see better valuations, we want to allocate more money. And last thing, what I want to say is that as the market goes down, please understand, as this 52,000 of Sensex will go down, it means that March 25 return, which is showing 39%, it will keep on increasing. So the market going down today actually creates a lot of possibility and probability of better returns in future. So market going down actually is a blessing for the people who are willing to put the money right now. It may be not good for investors who want to withdraw their money for their personal use and they have kept their money in equity. But investors who have money or who are putting more money through SIPs, or who have lump sum amount to deploy, for them the down market is very important. If this 52 becomes 62, then this 39% return that we see after 3 years, that will actually come down to only 24%, which will mean only 7% return, 7.5% return per annum. So you tell me, you think, and just tell once we start our question answer or interactive session, that as an investor, what you believe, that if market is 62, will we make more money there if we invest, or market at 52 will make more money here? So because we know that the down markets, when we put the money in a lower values, lower NAVs, the returns are much better. Investors who put money, additional money in 2020 when market was down due to Corona, those investors have made in fact, most of our investors have made very good returns in these 2-3 years period. And even the people who were investing earlier, even their returns have become better only because 2020 was a very down market year. So if markets are going down, they are actually creating very superior opportunity. We may not like that some of our funds are getting negative or some funds are down. मतलब हमें वो अच्छा नहीं लगता, but some pain is good. मतलब जब हम रनिंग शुरू करते हैं या कोई स्पोर्ट शुरू करते हैं, जब मसल्स में हमारे दर्द होता है, उस समय हमें अच्छा नहीं लगता, बट एक्चुअली that actually creates a stronger athlete over a period of time. So some pain is necessary to strengthen ourselves. Even this pain of market going down, some values in our funds looking negative, it may look bad today, but actually this will create a very good return for you. It has happened every time earlier, and it will happen this time also. So with this, I close this session, and I would request the participants to unmute them one by one, and you can share your opinion, your suggestions, your questions, whatever you want.
Hi, Pawan. Thanks for the session. It was very useful.
Yeah, hi Gobi. So good.
Hi.
Thanks for coming, and you were the first, so you will get a first early bird prize basically. Okay, you will get 1% extra return over the period.
Yeah, I think last time we were talking about the index fund investment, right? So
right.
So can we? Is it the right time to shift some of our funds towards index ETFs or index funds, or what do you think?
Okay, so what we discussed in that call, and if you go through it again, was that over a short period, in some circumstances where market goes down drastically or market goes up drastically, index funds may in short period outperform the active funds. Okay, but over the period, we have seen that index funds uh, are not able to beat the active fund. So, okay, I will rephrase. If somebody is planning to put money in a pure large cap fund, okay, then to some extent, index funds may be the relevant medium. If we are not looking at the risk profile, if we are only looking at the return profile, and in the pure large cap category, some index funds may be preferred. But as we move down to multi caps or mid caps or small caps, then the active funds actually create a lot of alpha. So I'll give you an example. In 2008 January, the small BSE small cap index was 13,000, 13. Okay. Today it is 25 something. It has actually doubled since 2008. The small BSE small cap index has doubled only. Whereas a fund like Reliance Small Cap, which was launched in 2010, or a DSB Micro Cap, which was launched at that time, they have made the client's money actually 8 to 10 times in that period. So index has only doubled, but the NAV of the small cap funds had actually gone up 8 to 10 times. So in small cap and mid caps, the active funds deliver very superior returns. Only if we are planning to put money only in pure large cap funds, then some money can be put in index funds. Now, if your question is, shall we shift our active funds money to index funds? That I will never recommend, because active funds, and especially the funds which are in the portfolios of our clients, over the period of, you look at any fund over the period of 3 years plus, it outperforms index and outperformance by a very big margin. So if you look at Mire Emerging Blue Chip, which is in your portfolio and most of our investors' portfolio for long, it has delivered almost 5% extra return than the index over whatever period we look at. So every 2-3%, 4% extra return is always better, and it creates a very good value. So first question, if it is only large cap investment, yes, some money can be put in index fund. Whether over 3 to 5 years the multi cap or flexi cap will give better returns than the large cap or index funds, yes, they tend to do that. They have shown that over many years that they deliver better returns. And last point, should we shift our active funds money to index funds? Never recommended.
Okay, noted. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the explanation.
Pleasure. Any other question anybody has? Okay, so one point which I didn't mention, which I would like to take up is about international funds. So right now what we are seeing is the correction in Indian market, but actually the international market got corrected in the month of January itself. So if we see in last 10-15 days, international market is not correcting, but actually it got corrected in January and in the early part of February. So a lot of international funds that have been allocated to investors' portfolios, they are showing negative returns to a decent, to a reasonable degree. And what we are seeing is that actually the valuations of even international markets have become very, very attractive. Now, at these valuations, the current funds may be looking bad too because they are quite negative. But we wanted to actually invest more money at the current valuations in the international funds. Unfortunately, at some, or maybe all of you may be aware that right now, due to a certain guideline, regulatory guideline, the international investing is not possible in mutual funds right now, because all the funds, barring one or two funds, they are actually closed. They are not taking fresh money or fresh SIPs or fresh STPs. So the international funds which are there in our portfolios, we are very positive about those funds because those funds have investments in the largest of the companies of the world. All the 3-4 funds that are there in the client portfolios, your portfolios, they invest in companies like Amazon and Apple and Facebook and Teslas of the world. So they are advanced micro devices like AMD. And these companies are very large. It is only because of these international events, because of interest rates, because of inflation, that temporarily the values of these funds or these companies is down. But these are very good companies, and actually any downside of such kind gives very good opportunity to invest. The only unfortunate part for us right now is that we cannot allocate more money in these funds because there is a RBI guideline that mutual funds cannot invest more than 7 billion USD in international markets, and that limit has already been utilized by the mutual fund industry. So till the time RBI revises the limit, we can't invest. And if the markets remain down, if the value remain down, and if RBI announces that it is revising the limit upwards, then definitely we'll come back and inform you that some allocation now can be done in international fund, because the values are really, really down. The NAVs are down from almost 25 to 30% from their all-time highs. So that valuation is very attractive. It's just that that possibility is not there right now. But when it will happen, we'll do that. Because these corrections actually give very, very good opportunities for future returns. 30% NAV down means that 100 has become 70. Now, if I buy at 70 price, even if it goes to the same level in 2 years, means if same NAV comes after 2 years also, still I will make 30% return in 2 years, which is almost like 14-15% return. So at current valuations, the international markets are good. Indian markets have already become better. And if there is some more correction, they will only get better from here. So keeping that in mind, but investment should be done in a staggered manner, because we also don't know how long the correction may happen, how deep it may happen. So idea is that we should just remain invested, and if we have a figure in mind that, okay, this is my lump sum amount available, then over 3-4 installments we can do that investment. That is what is suggested. For people who want to start their SIP, it is actually a very good time. So starting a SIP when Sensex is at 62, obviously it is much better to start SIP when Sensex is 52. So though SIP can be started anytime, but if the question is that, okay, is it a good time to start SIP? definitely it is a much better time to start SIP as it was 6 months back. Whether this will impact the SIPs too much, not really, but it is a good time to invest. And for lump sum, actually it a reasonable time, because it is very not very often that you get values of the market which are near to the fair value of the market. Normally market 1 year forward chalta hai. Normally it remains 1 year forward. Only in distressed times it comes near the fair value. So if you look at last year also, only last year in the month of May and now it has somewhat come to the near fair value. Otherwise the market almost for the entire year was above 55,000, which means it was near to the fair value of the next year. The fair value of next year is 56. तो 56, 50, 80 पे काफी रहा पूरे साल में. So in distressed times only we get somewhere near to the fair value. Distress यदि नहीं है तो market normally fair value पे नहीं होता है, वो 1 या 2 साल forward ही होता है. तो keeping that in mind कि अभी fair value के हम आसपास आ गए हैं, it is a good time to invest. There is a disclaimer that nothing is guaranteed. Again, it is a market risk where we are investing, but historical data and trend shows across the countries that once you are investing at the right valuations, you tend to make money over 3 to 5 year period. So this is my take. And again, anything else, if somebody wants to share, discuss, ask.
Pawan, there is a query in the chat box. If we increase our investment in value SIP, will InvestGuru take care of further allocation?
Yeah, so value SIP itself is such a powerful concept that it is value SIP. Whoever investor has put the query, I would say, sir or ma'am, that value SIP doesn't recognize the amount of the SIP actually. So whether you invest 20,000 in value SIP or 1 lakh rupee in value SIP, the allocation happens in the categories which are at the best of the valuations. So right now, for last 10 days or so, the majority of allocation in value SIP is happening in large caps and multi caps. So whoever is investing through value SIP, you would be getting mail after allocation on the day, and you will see that majority of the allocation is in flexi cap or multi cap or large cap. Only 20-25% allocation is happening in small cap. And if you go back to October, then you will see that investment was more happening in small caps, and relatively at that time it was 30 to 50%, and it was only 50% in large caps or multi caps. So value SIP, you can have any amount. The amount is not a challenge, and allocation happens as per the valuation of the market. So clients can be very assured in value SIP that whatever money we are putting in is actually getting in the right pocket where the valuations are low. And ultimately, like today, the entire market is down. So if any value SIP has got started in last 6 months or 1 year, it may not look because everything is down. But over the period, we can see that, and even from the allocation, we can see any time that actually we are putting more money at the lower NAVs. So that is already happening, and ultimately that will reflect in our performance of the portfolios also. So value SIP is itself very powerful, and by putting money in the right pockets, it becomes more attractive. And amount you can always increase. Amount, I don't see that it should be a challenge in terms of performance. So whatever amount you want to put, please do that. Value SIP will take care of the valuation part of the market.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question anybody has?
Sir, there is a question in my mind. Like clients के साथ अभी क्या हो रहा है कि even they have surplus money, मतलब investors के पास surplus money है, but since the market is falling every other day, तो उनको हर point पे ये लगता है कि कुछ बचा लिया होता है इस point के लिए, या आप कुछ बचा लेते हैं अगला fall के लिए. तो if someone has surplus money, तो उसको किस way में उसको invest करना चाहिए? Whether the person should invest 100% of surplus जो भी उनके पास one time available है, या they should do it in staggered manner?
So Tanisha, if you look at the valuation metrics, it tells that the market is around 7-8% above the fair value, right? So because जो हमारी इस साल की fair value है, that is around 49,000 of Sensex, and the market is at 52,800 something right now. So because it is above the fair value, the investment should be done in a staggered manner. If it comes at the fair value, then I would say that whatever is there, a person should put the entire money. So what is being recommended right now is that suppose a person thinks that he wants to invest 1 lakh rupee, then he should do it in 3-4 installments. He should invest. Now, any equity investor, and I would stress on this, any equity investor needs to understand कि जो 15% का return इन्वेस्टर एज्यूम करता है कि मेरा बनेगा, और एक्सपेक्ट करता है, नॉट एज्यूम, एक्सपेक्ट करता है, होप करता है कि मेरा बने, उसकी वजह से वो इक्विटी में इन्वेस्ट करता है, उसमें डाउनसाइड जो टेम्परेरीली डाउनसाइड होती है पोर्टफोलियोज में, विच इज 1-2-3%, that thing person should actually accept that this is going to happen. If this downside doesn't come in his portfolio, मतलब अभी एक क्लाइंट का सपोज 1 लाख रुपया लगना है और उसने 50,000 रुपया लगाया और मार्केट 5% गिर गया वहां से, तो उसको इस चीज की खुशी होनी चाहिए कि 5% गिर गया है, तो मैं अब अगला 50,000 का कम से कम 25,000 तो और लगा सकता हूँ। यदि वो ये सोचेगा कि मेरा 50,000 में कम हो गया, मैं और वेट करता तो मैं लगा लेता, तो आई कैन गिव टेंस ऑफ एग्जांपल्स। जब 2020 में मार्केट गिरा था, लोग ये सोचते रहे कि और गिरेगा तब मैं लगाऊंगा, और गिरेगा लगाऊंगा, और वो गिर के फिर बढ़ता चला गया, और फिर वो इन्वेस्टर्स कभी दोबारा लगा नहीं पाए। इनफैक्ट देयर आर इन्वेस्टर्स जिन्होंने से मई में 1 लाख रुपया लगाया था और उसके बाद मार्केट चल गया, आज वो 1 लाख 2 लाख बन चुका है, बट इन्वेस्टर दोबारा उसमें, उसके बाद 10 लाख रुपए थे लेकिन वो 9 लाख नहीं लगा पाया, क्योंकि वो उस दिन के बाद वेट ही करता रहा कि मार्केट पहले से कम होगा तब मैं लगाऊंगा। सो मार्केट यदि डाउन जाता है, इफ यू आर अ ट्रेडर, सी इफ यू आर अ ट्रेडर ऑफ एनी आइटम, if the market is going down and if you have to buy, you will always be happy. There would be some pain, I expect, I understand that कि हमने 1 लाख रुपया 55 मार्केट पे लगाया और वो 52 आ गया, तो पेन होता है, but that pain is what is going to create very good returns for you. मार्केट का गिरना अच्छे रिटर्न्स के लिए जरूरी है, कि कब तक गिरेगा हमें नहीं पता होता, इसलिए थोड़ा थोड़ा लगाते रहना चाहिए।
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
आप ऐसे समझिए, सी जस्ट ऑन अ लाइटर साइड, जब सर्दियां शुरू होती हैं तो हम अपने लिए स्वेटर वार्मर खरीदते हैं और 1 महीने बाद उसके ऊपर सेल लग जाती है और हमें लगता है कि ये हमने तब ले लिया होता, सेल में ले लिया होता तो बेटर रहता, लेकिन ठंड तो हमें पहले लग रही थी ना। तो सभी को पता है कि स्वेटर्स पे सेल लगेगी, लेकिन फिर भी लोग फ्रेश में लेते हैं। तो रीजन बीइंग बिकॉज you have to do certain things at the right time. You just can't wait for something to happen to get the best value or the best price. पता चला सेल के चक्कर में गए और अपना साइज ही नहीं मिला या अपनी पसंद का स्वेटर ही नहीं मिला, फिर क्या करेंगे? So keeping that in mind, it is only on the lighter side that we know that there is something going to be happen, maybe it will happen for betterment, but we have to do our thing at the right time. And right time means that we may not put everything today, but we don't know, maybe tomorrow there is a peace talk, who knows? कल ही पता चला peace talk हो गई, matter resolve हो गया, and because once this problem resolves of Ukraine, then market will not remain at this level. अब वो ट्यूसडे को रिजॉल्व होगी प्रॉब्लम, या थर्सडे को होगी, या नेक्स्ट मंथ होगी, या नहीं मालूम, लेकिन वो जिस दिन रिजॉल्व होगी मार्केट वहां से फिर दोबारा नहीं मिलेगा इस लेवल पे। देन व्हाट विल द इन्वेस्टर डू? अभी 52 पे उसने नहीं डाला तो 54 पे भी क्यों डालेगा? तो रादर देन टाइमिंग मार्केट का करना चाहिए, बट ऐसा नहीं कि परफेक्ट टाइमिंग करेंगे हम। ऐसा नहीं कि मुझे आज पता चले कि मार्केट 7 मार्च को 52,900 गया, ये लीस्ट गया, उसके बाद इससे नीचे नहीं जाएगा, तो चलो आज मैं सारा डाल देता हूँ। इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क लाइक दिस, बिकॉज नोबडी नोज व्हाट इज द बॉटम। सो रादर देन गोइंग बाय द बॉटम, What we see is that we put the money at the fair value, and somewhat we keep on staggering the money till we get the fair value. Once we get the fair value, then it means that in next 3 years I will make 15% return, which is good enough, and let me put the money. So anybody who has money, he should stagger the money. You can't wait for the best day to invest. और वैसे भी best day तो वैसे भी नहीं मिलता है. Because if today market has fallen, if you put the money today, you will get NAV for tomorrow. So वो best day तो वैसे भी नहीं मिलेगा. There is just no chance now. And nobody knows what will be the NAV tomorrow. So 1, 2, 3, 4% से फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Look at the bigger picture. As we showed that graphic, in next 3 years, it is expected that somebody can make 13-14% return. If somebody is satisfied with that, then that person should invest now. Your some money may be making 13% return over next 3 years per annum. Some money may make 13.51% if the market goes down. Some money may make only 13-12% return if the market goes 3-4% up. But that is okay. On a broader level, you are making 3 times post-tax return than a bank FD or a fixed income. That itself is good enough. Currently, the inflation is 6%. If you are making 12% return over 3 years, it is very, very good. You are beating the inflation by 6%. So any investor, a long-term investor, should look at the bigger picture rather than worrying कि अभी 2000 रुपए कम हो गए, मेरे 2% कम हो गया. It pains. I agree, it pains. But you should keep some money always with you to invest further, basically. तब वो पेन नहीं आएगा. आपको पता है पहले मैंने 18 NAV में लिया है, मैं 17 NAV में ले रहा हूँ, तो पेन क्यों होगा? अच्छा है, मैं तो सस्ता ले रहा हूँ. और so keep some money with you.
Sure.
So I hope this answers this dilemma. Actually, we should put money in a staggered manner, lump sum in a staggered manner, and if we get below fair value, if we get market below fair value, as per the matrix, then we can invest actually at one go also. There is no problem. If we are happy with 14, 15, 16% kind of return, then we should put the money, and that itself is a very, very good return.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other participant wants to have any query, question, interaction?
My query is where to put in the money. Should we invest in a hybrid fund today, the pure equity fund, or overseas fund? What's the right avenue?
Good, Yash, Mr. Yash, that you asked this question. So see, right now in international fund only Kotak Nasdaq is open. Okay, and there is no other fund where we can put the money right now in any international fund. But Kotak Nasdaq is open. Some money can be put because the valuation is reasonable. But this valuation, again, all valuations that we are talking is reasonable from 3-year plus perspective. It is not, we are not talking about 1 month or 6 months or 1 year. It is with a 3-year perspective, the valuations are very good. Hybrid funds, yes, they are very good funds. And I know, when we share hybrid funds with our investors, normally we don't get a very positive response, but hybrid funds are able to contain the volatility, and they are very good at generating reasonable returns also. So some allocation can be done in hybrid funds as well. And as we saw that large and multi-cap funds are very well placed, or flexi-cap or large and mid-cap funds are very well placed, again, from a 3-year perspective. So hybrid funds, actually, we can invest anytime. They are very good products for equity investment with slightly lesser risk. So depending upon Mr. Yash, the current portfolio of yours or any investor, what is the time frame you have, that allocation can be divided. But if you ask my, the highest preference for the funds right now is flexi-cap funds. And if the market comes down further, it is already reasonably down, but if it comes down further, then flexi cap funds will be more preferred than hybrid funds, because our more preference for hybrid funds is when market was 58,000, 62,000. We have done a lot of lump sum investment of clients' portfolios at that level in those funds. But if the market comes down near fair value, then pure equity funds are preferred, if you really ask me. But hybrid funds, anybody who doesn't want to take too much risk can opt for some allocation in hybrid fund as well. So it is always, how much volatility a person is ready to take and what is the time frame you have. Hybrid funds are evergreen funds. You can invest anytime actually in those funds. But if the
Should we
market
shift
goes
our
down,
investment from the hybrid to pure equity now? Should we contemplate now?
yeah,
Or
so
just leave it there? Because they,
so-
in any case,
yeah,
make an adjustment in the portfolio.
right. So hybrid funds, we should not switch. And I will give you a reason. First of all, with capital gains taxation, if the value is reasonably, significant. I mean, I'm not talking about 20, 30,000 amount shifting, because that doesn't create as such any difference in the overall portfolio. But if you are shifting lakhs of rupees from a hybrid fund to equity fund, then there will be some kind of capital gains, tax implication, number one. Secondly, if some hybrid investment has been done in last 1 year, then there will be some exit load also. And thirdly, right now, the difference of fall in NAVs of hybrid funds and pure equity funds is not as attractive, where I can suggest you, shifting money from hybrid to pure equity funds. If pure equity funds have fallen 11-12%, the hybrid funds have fallen actually 8%, 8.5%, 9%. Okay. So that 2-3% difference in the fall of hybrid and pure equity is not meaningful to shift hybrid money to pure equity funds. If that difference goes up maybe more than 10%, then still, it will make some sense at that time. But I really don't see that happening, at least for now. So I hope you understand, if there is only 1 or 2% difference in the downside of the fund, then hybrid money should not go to equity fund, and then taxation and then exit load. So, and even hybrid funds are able to generate very reasonable returns, like pure hybrid funds like Canara hybrid, Mere hybrid, and all these 65-70% equity funds. Their return is almost 13-14% in last 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So that kind of return, even these funds are able to, generate. Mr. Yash, I hope you got answer to your query.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Any other query or question from any participant? You can unmute yourself and ask the question, or probably you can write in the chat box. Right, so since there is no further question, I will thank all the participants for taking out time on a working day and attending this call. And we hope that our team is in touch with you and taking care of your portfolios. These times are testing for especially investors who have started in last 1 year. But we have seen all these cycles earlier also, and we know that all investments done in these bad times actually create good values. And we hope that you'll be able to allocate more if the fund situation permits, and maybe in some months or maybe in a year or some months time, we will see much better portfolios in terms of valuations. So thank you all. Thanks for coming, and we'll meet again. Thank you.
Thank you.